can't tell you a secret.
Hi, you all. Welcome to Unbottled Secrets, the channel where my truth becomes your entertainment. My name is Fakira, and I make faith-based lifestyle and microlocs content. So if you love the Lord and want to get to know me, then you will love this channel. And speaking of microlocs, I am joined by popular demand my Loctician Shelaya. I noticed when I did the Microlocs versus sisterlocks video, a lot of people asked me a lot of specific questions. And I told y'all, I don't know how to do hair. I'm just a girl with locks. So
She said, I'll be the messenger.
literally, what better person to ask than the person who started my locks and who has been maintaining my locks for nearly 3 years. So, and I thought this would be such a fun video to just ask Shelaya some questions about locks, and we might come back for a part two. Who knows? So yeah,
Part two, says who?
per. So yeah, if this is something you may be interested in, please continue watching. Okay, so the first question is, what should someone know before deciding to get locks? Are there any misconceptions they should be aware of?
What must someone know? First thing that I always tell people when they come for consultations is that you should know that your hair is not going to look like anyone else's hair. So I know it's normal for us as humans to get like inspiration from offline, but just know that your lock goals or your lock crush, their hair is going to do something different than your hair is going to do, and it's still going to be beautiful. So that is the first thing that I try to nip in the bud when people come for consultations is, just make sure you have realistic expectations for the nature of your hair versus someone else's, because it's going to be different and it's going to be beautiful.
What are some misconceptions?
Misconceptions are thinking that having locks means no maintenance. That's not true. It's it's low maintenance with LOW, not no maintenance. Your hair still needs some attention, tender loving care. You do still need to, come to your appointments, make sure, all the things, hair is washed and hydrated and all that kind of stuff. But it's definitely still maintenance. It's just not high maintenance.
Agreed. What are the different methods of starting locks, and how do you determine which method is best for someone's hair type and goals?
Okay, well, that's a good question. So, when you are starting your locks, there's multiple ways you could start. I prefer the interlock method, where you basically weave from root to tip, and it kind of gives the lock look before your hair is actually locked. And then it's also the best method to help with slippage and any future like lock repair. Other people, you can start them as braid locks, which is my next favorite because it helps with the swelling. It doesn't swell as much. It doesn't give as much volume, but at the same time, you don't have as much lock repair. Some people start them off as twist locks, which gives the closest appearance to loose natural hair, and people love that because, that's what we still try to cling to, which is why people tend to get micro locks, because it's the closest look for loose natural hair. However, with twist locks, depending on your hair type, it's not always the best method because there is the possibility of a lot of slippage, especially with washing if you're not washing properly. Yeah.
So, which would be candidates or better candidates for a particular method of hair or locking?
Okay, yes, that was the second part of your question. So I would say that if your hair is loose curly, I would recommend you get them either interlocked or braid locks. If you have a kinkier texture of a curl, a tighter curl pattern, I could, you will be fine with twist locks because your hair will, it loves itself, so it's going to stick together, and you'll have less chances of slippage. So,
Shout out to the twist lock girlies.
yes. I actually started my locks with twist locks, and because my hair is so curly, you know, it was shorter when I first started them, and my hair is just a little bit on the soft side. They slipped often, and I had to retie my hair often, and it was like a pain. So I actually combed them out, and I redid them as braid locks, and those were the ones that stayed better, and I made them a little bit bigger. So your loctician definitely has to evaluate your hair to let you know what is the best method for your hair texture and curl pattern.
That's actually a good segue because the video that I went viral for me, honestly.
Period. Let's go viral.
Period. For was the Microlocs versus sisterlocks, and a lot of questions I would get. It's like, well, what's the difference? And is it Microlocs and sisterlocks the same thing? And all these different things.
And it's not. It's not the same. Sisterlocks, they are a branded lock community. They have a very particular grid pattern, very particular with the style. They do only interlocks, which but their sizing and their pattern is something that they branded. And I actually chose not to become a sisterlock consultant because, one, it takes a very long time because they're so small, and then two, I just noticed that, you know, people tend to get them just for the look, and it's not necessarily the best for the health of their hair long term. So, and I didn't want to be a part of that. I kind of wanted to, you know, evaluate hair and let people know what's best for their hair texture and their hair type. And that is not always the case. However, I know some wonderful sister lock consultants who, you know, they've gone through the courses and the training, and they're wonderful. So it's nothing against the sisterlock brand. However, I just have noticed some things, you know, as I've become a loctician.
Which is what I said in my sisterlocks versus microlocs video, and why I even chose to get microlocs as opposed to sisterlocks. Like Shelaya was very thoughtful when, like, with my grid to ensure that my locks will be healthy and stylish at the same time. So she focuses on the health of your locks first and foremost. And I don't know much about the sisterlock community because I have microlocs, but it does seem like the focus is really truly on like the grid and the uniformity, which makes sense. It's a patent style. So yeah, see, I knew what I was talking about a little bit. What is the commitment level like for maintaining locks, especially in the early stages?
Okay, so the commitment level for microlocs, after you get your locks installed, your loctician should be scheduling your 4-week appointment. So you should have that first retie at 4 weeks. And then after that, your maintenance schedule should be, 6 to 8 weeks. I do believe that you should not go beyond 8 weeks because that just causes opportune times for damage to occur. You'll have to have lock repair, slippage, things that just will make your appointments longer and more expensive. So definitely keeping that in mind, that you do still need to keep up with your appointments, especially when you're in the early stages before your hair has fully locked.
Okay, so how long does it typically take for locks to mature, and what changes can someone expect during the process?
I typically tell all of my clients that a year is a safe guess for when your locks are going to mature. Some people's locks, depending on their hair texture, their hair may lock quicker. However, it could take longer, especially if you have a looser curl pattern, and depending on the exposure to moisture that it has, it could that changes how fast your hair locks or how slow it locks. It totally is up to your hair.
So would moisture make it lock slower?
If you are always fully saturating your hair, it causes them to slip. They may lock, but they may not lock in the pattern that you will want them to. And that's where the bunching and the budding comes from. And you have like those little soft pockets for people that don't get their hair maintenance as often. That tends to happen when there's a lot of moisture and not as much maintenance happening. That's why it's important to braid and band your hair when you are washing it, especially before your hair is locked, mature. And then also keeping up with your appointments in the meantime. Braiding and banding when you're washing and having a regular schedule will keep your locks intact.
Okay. So, what is an indicator that your locks have matured?
So typically you'll get like some budding at the end, where your hair is just kind of collecting at the bottom. Some people don't like that and they take them off, which is fine because there are some people who just want the curly ends, and that works for however long it works. It is a commitment though, because leaving your hair alone, it's going to naturally lock no matter if you're trying to get locks or not. So if you want the curly ends, it would just be a conscious process of you having, let me get some conditioner, let me get some water, let me comb these ends out. But that is the beginning stages of like, my hair's trying to lock. It'll have a little budding at the bottom.
For sure. I definitely make sure my ends stay as curly as possible. But then I started getting lazy, and then that's when I noticed a lot of budding, and I'm like, oh, well, here we go. But then a part of me also wants it to bud all the way. But
yeah,
I'm committed to the curly ends. I am. I love them. Okay. So what are the essential products and tools needed to care for microlocs at home, especially for beginners?
So a part of my starter package, I give my clients a leave-in conditioning spray that is minimal so that it does not create buildup. And it's also infused with essential oils. And then I also give an oil serum that you can use to keep your hair hydrated, moisturized. I also just recommend totally making sure that you are drinking enough water. Like, people underestimate how much that really plays out in your hair journey. And having a lock journey is 100% a head to toe journey, and inside and out. If and all of those things play a part in the health of your hair and how it turns out. So for beginners, I would definitely say get you a leave-in conditioning spray, something that's light, and then also some light oils as well. No castor oil, no Jamaican, whatever thick oil that you're used to, no pomade or anything. You don't need to grease your scalp. Definitely something like grapeseed oil, jojoba oil, something light, nothing that's going to cause buildup.
How can someone prevent common issues like buildup, dryness, or thinning when maintaining their locks?
You can prevent buildup by not using thick conditioners on your locks. You could also prevent it by making sure you sleep with a bonnet, using a shower cap when you're in the shower, using a swim cap when you go swimming, keeping your bonnet on if you're going to wear something that has like a lot of lint, especially when it gets cold. You may want to be wearing sweaters and whatnot, fleece, cardigans. Just make sure when you are doing so, you just have your bonnet on, especially for if you are using makeup. You need to make sure your hair is pulled back, cover it with a headband or something so that the makeup isn't getting in your hair. Those are some ways to prevent that. You want to make sure your conditioner is a light leave-in conditioner, not thick. And you can dilute it too. Just dilute it with water.
And what about dryness? Thinning.
Thinning, you definitely want to not manipulate your hair as much as possible. You definitely should try not to pull it up and back as often as possible, because that will encourage the thinning, the more tension you put on your hair. Having locks is a protective style, and over styling and over manipulating it will cause thinning.
Okay.
because your hair is getting thicker, it's getting heavier, you're pulling it, it's weighing more. It's not healthy for your hair to over style it.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it alone.
And let it flourish.
Let it go.
Which is a good segue to the next question. What are the pros and cons of microlocs compared to other natural hairstyles? Especially for those who were on the fence about getting microlocs because, it's I like to change my hair a lot and all these different things.
The major difference is that something that I actually talked to somebody else about, like, why is it considered protective for Black women, but you have to put something in it in order for it to be protective? And that is a sign that it isn't protective, because when you have to take that style down, some of your hair comes out with it. That's why I believe locks is the safest of protective styles, because of, the less shedding that you have when you have to remove the style. What was the next part of that question?
The pros and cons of having microlocs.
The pros? Ooh, there's a lot of pros. Time. You get so much of your time back, so much freedom. You are, you can go on vacation and not have to worry, I need to get my vacation hair done. No, you don't. My hair already done, sis. I woke up like this.
Literally out the bonnet.
Out the bonnet, just shake and go. Honestly, the only con will probably be having fatigue, maybe wanting something new, wanting a new style, because, as women, we want to shake it up a bit. And there's ways that you can combat that, but honestly, the biggest thing is time and freedom, and just learning to appreciate your hair the way it naturally is, so you're not constantly trying to figure out this new thing, so obsessed with new in this culture, in this world, and how God made you is actually perfect.
I like that. And I think for me, I learned to appreciate my locks a lot more.
Yes.
Or just my natural hair a lot more when I got locks, because when I was a natural girly, I was wearing wigs. That was all I would do because I had a lot of hair. It was too much to maintain.
You definitely had a lot of hair, sis. I'm talking about hair on top of hair.
You see, in this one we got locks because it just makes my life a lot easier. 10s out of 10s.
Yeah.
So I think you already answered this, but how often should someone see a loctician for maintenance? And what are the services typically provided during those visits?
So definitely every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how fast your hair grows. Things that you should expect. Well, these are questions that you should ask the loctician in your consultation, if they provide washing, and if they provide like any steam treatments, or if they provide any detox services, depending on their location. If someone does hair at home, maybe if their services are limited. But if they're in a salon, they could possibly offer all of those. But at least you should expect someone to teach you how to wash your hair, because I get a lot of clients, they're like, I don't know how to do my hair, I don't know how to wash my hair. And it should be an educational visit. You should not leave with still not having your questions answered. So you definitely want to make sure you're coming research in hand, because it is an investment. You don't want to just fumble away a whole bag when you're about to make a lifelong commitment, hopefully.
That is true. How, I know you just said something that made me think of another question. Have you had clients that combed out their locks?
I had someone that came to me that had traditional locks, and she combed those out, and then she asked me to install her Microlocs. She actually sent me like videos and pictures of her process of combing out her traditional locks, and then she got Microlocs. I personally combed out my daughter's locks, which is a service I do not provide, because it was very tedious and it took forever. I actually cut mine because I was not going to comb out my mature locks at that point. So yes, it's very tedious. It is possible. Yes, there will be hair loss, but it's natural because it hasn't shedded. So that is the result of the hair that would have naturally shed if it wasn't locked.
Well, God forbid that day comes, but if it comes, I'm cutting it off. Comb out what? Please.
I cannot imagine you cutting your hair though.
I know.
I can't imagine it. That's crazy.
We'll see.
Because we remember when you didn't want to clip the ends?
I know.
And we needed the ends clipped, and then it grew so much.
I don't think I'm okay with trimming. I like
Yeah.
trimming them, but like
Yeah.
to cut them off completely, I don't know.
No.
I don't think that's in my future.
No, so I haven't had any clients of my that I installed and they comb their locks out. No.
See?
No.
It's a lifelong commitment. I feel like you've kind of answered this, but just in case, what are the biggest mistakes people make when starting or maintaining locks, and how can they avoid them?
One of the biggest mistakes I've noticed is the overexposure to water in the beginning stages. Like your hair has not fully matured yet. You should not be saturating your hair and, you know, standing under the shower, going swimming without a swim cap. You should not be doing those things. That you will essentially have to pay to get them reinstalled, because that's the loctician's time. That's not a regular retie, so you know it's going to be expensive. That is a personal story. I actually had a client that did that, and she was like, okay, well, and then afterwards she was very careful with her locks, and they're beautiful now. I started her locks back in 21 when I first started, and her locks are beautiful. So that's one of the biggest things that you should avoid in the early stages.
Is water.
Too much, like submersion. Yeah.
And last question, but I feel like it's a loaded question. Would you recommend Microlocs?
5 stars. 5 stars.
No notes.
10 out of 10. 100%. I may go back to locks at some point in my life. I don't know. It will have to be someone else maintaining them, because that was something that was a struggle for me, is that I started them and I was maintaining them myself, and then when I was retired and had other things going on, I ignored my own hair. So therefore, no growth. However, Microlocs are beautiful. I've had so many testimonies of women that have said, oh my God, ever since I've had locks. And then it's nothing but positivity that follows that statement. They've learned more about themselves. They've grown to love themselves in a better way, a deeper way. And they just have experienced so much hair freedom. And then in turn has turned old cultural norms on its head. Like, no, I don't have to have a perm. I don't have to wear wigs. I don't have to wear weave, and I'm beautiful the way I am. And it's because of this that locks have now been more accepted in the workplace. It's now our hair is deemed professional, where how we show up naturally should have always been that way. However, this new surge of accepting who we are and our hair being as beautiful as it is has been transformational.
For sure. I think I tell people all the time, I got fine after I got locks.
Period. And you did, though. I mean, major glow up. I'm one of her biggest fans. Y'all don't know. Love her.
Literally. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below any questions that you have for Shelaya, because I mean, we can keep this as a series. I come every 6 weeks faithfully.
She's here.
So yeah, we could do that. But yeah, with that being said, we have reached the end of this video. I hope you gleaned something meaningful. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to join the Society of Secret Keepers, please, 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 please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on any time I upload a video. Share if you care. And until next time, bye.
Bye, guys.